Hello there, Dartmoor. 'Tis a wonderful place. Us commoners have been grazing our livestock up here for generations. Of course, most of it belongs to the Duke of Cornwall. It used to be the old royal hunting grounds. I love the openness and the wildlife and the beauty. Nature's at home up here. Possibly because not very many people get up here to spoil it.
The military have been here for a while as well. Over 100 years they've been exercising here. 'Tis said that Dartmoor helped our boys to destroy the Nazis, and our Royal Marines didn't find the terrain much different when they got to the Falklands. More recently, the outstanding natural beauty of Dartmoor has been recognised by its designation as a national park. This places a responsibility on everybody to conserve and enhance the natural beauty, the wildlife and the cultural heritage. Since 1959, Dartmoor has been a challenge to youngsters, taking part in the annual 10 Tours expedition.
God, Dartmoor is a wonderful place. It can be beautiful, but it can be treacherous. The mood on the moors can change very quickly. So I'm going to give you an idea of what you can do to look after yourselves when you're on the moors, and later the part that you can play to look after these moors.
Despite its beauty, Dartmoor can be a dangerous place too. The terrain is demanding, and leaping from tussock to tussock is tiring. Some of the moors are boggy, and after heavy rain, the mires can be really treacherous. Even on a fine day, it is easy to get lost in the unpopulated vastness of Dartmoor. And if something does go wrong, you'll have to find a solution for it yourself. Visibility can decrease quickly, so always be prepared to navigate with your compass. The weather can be changeable and extreme as well. Dartmoor is the first high ground that the Atlantic storms strike. Check the weather forecast before you venture onto the moors. After heavy rain, a stream can turn into a raging torrent. So if you have to cross one, make sure you know the correct drills. Dartmoor has been used as a training area and firing range for the armed forces since the 1800s. The limit of tactical training is shown by the blue line. Service personnel may be training there at any time of the year and will ensure that you continue walking without interference. Within the red lines, there are 3 live firing areas that can be used either separately or combined together for large firing exercises. Warning signals are hoisted when live firing is scheduled to take place, and then it is unsafe and unlawful to pass the red and white posts into the danger area. A leaflet is available giving detailed information. Forecasts of firing are given in the local newspapers, or you can call the Army's free phone. Updates can be heard every morning on BBC Radio Devon. To help you plan ahead, you can phone Headquarters Dartmoor Training Area up to 3 weeks in advance. Old shells, unexploded ordnance, works its way to the surface from time to time. Should you come across any unusual looking object, leave it alone. Note its location and description. Mark the area unobtrusively and report your find to the training area staff or the police. The adder, a rare snake that is protected by law, has a venomous bite which should be treated immediately. It is rarely fatal, but the bite does require professional medical attention. Although the streams look refreshing, there could be a rotting animal carcass upstream, and there are almost certainly tiny bugs floating about in it. For your safety, consider all water to be contaminated, and before drinking it, take the necessary precautions. Do look out for ticks and leeches, and make sure you know how to remove them correctly. And finally, on hazards for military personnel, don't forget your own personal security. Make sure you know the threat and how to deal with it. Although assessing the risks of walking on the moors and dealing with them is your responsibility, if things do go badly wrong, don't wait until it's too late. Call the police using 999, or, if it's not an emergency, contact your manager. Contingency plans can then be activated to help you. The route card you handed in earlier will then be of great assistance.
Well, that's some of the hazards that you could face on Dartmoor, and make sure you learn how to cope with them. But we'll now take a look at what you can do to help conserve Dartmoor.
Dartmoor is a precious environment. Today it is threatened by the pressures of so many people wanting to enjoy its special qualities. We must all play our part in taking care of Dartmoor so that it is available for future generations. Dartmoor might look barren, but there are signs out there that tells of man's use and presence over many thousands of years. Prehistoric man lived on Dartmoor in stone and thatched roundhouses, farming small areas around their village. Today all that remains is the circle of stones that formed the walls. The people in those times buried their dead in chambers, known locally as kists. They even created stone rows, the purpose of which is still being debated. Later, man extracted tin ore from the moors to make weapons and pots. More recently, the moors have been farmed. All of these objects tell a story which historians have not yet been able to interpret fully. We must leave these remains of our cultural heritage alone for future generations to enjoy. Please do not camp within 20 metres of them. Partly because of the military presence on Dartmoor has restricted public access, the wildlife has been left alone. However, the balance is precarious and some species are declining. Disturb the moors as little as possible so that the plants can grow. Watch out for signs of breeding birds and, if possible, avoid the area. Vehicles are particularly damaging to the moorland, which is why vehicles may not be driven off roads. Please don't dig. Not only does it damage the frail vegetation, but you might also disturb a shell. Hill farming is the major activity that not only provides a livelihood for the farmers, but also shapes the landscape. Sheep, cattle and ponies are grazed by us commoners over the open moors. Avoid the stock, or if you have to pass them, move by slowly to allow them to drift gently away. Be particularly careful during the spring, not only because the stock are about to give birth, but also because a mother, separated from her young, can be dangerous. Don't feed the animals. It attracts them to humans and to the roads where vehicles are likely to kill or maim them. And spare a thought for the farmers who earn their living from the area. Drive carefully. Park considerately. Leave gateways clear. And don't use farmyards. Dry stone walls and hedges are important to us farmers and take a lot of looking after. Use stiles or gateways. And don't forget to close the gates behind you. Everybody has a right of access to the unenclosed moorland except within the range danger area when live firing warning signals are hoisted. Be considerate and helpful to others. Be very careful that you don't start a fire. It can quickly get out of control and destroy wildlife over a vast area. Make sure that your stove doesn't burn the ground or cause a fire in the peat. Rubbish must be removed from the moors. Don't bury it. The animals only dig it up. Leave no signs of your presence or your passing.
My old grandfather had a saying, resemble not the slimy snail who by his filth records his trail. Let it be said, where you have been, you've left the face of Dartmoor clean.
All around our lovely countryside, with ancient sights galore, like many, many you can find on dear old Dartmoor, where men did sweat and toil, me boys, in the cold, the heat and dust, just enough to keep the family alive in rags and crust. Take a walk around the countryside, the village and the farm, with the lovely granite churches, the gatepost and the barn. It's there you'll find their craftsmanship, so neat, so true and plain, and once was just a granite rock on the moor in the mist and rain. Take a walk across old Dartmoor by day, by noon or night. The craftsmanship that you'll find there, it is a lovely sight. Don't interfere with their great work that they have left behind. Keep dear old Dartmoor as it is, for the sake of all mankind.